Hi guys, welcome back to Father and Son Investing. This channel has talked a lot about I-bonds recently. They are a fantastic way to get a nice return on your money because the inflation rate is so high right now. However, I-bonds have some limitations. One in particular is that you've got to hold it for at least 12 months before you can redeem it. Well, recently another investment tool or savings tool has also had its interest rate increase, and those are Treasury bills. So today we're going to talk about 4 things that I consider disadvantages for Treasury bills. The other video that I'll do today is going to talk about the advantages that I see in Treasury bills. Now don't get me wrong, I think that Treasury bills are great, or I wouldn't be talking about them here. But you need to understand that there are some disadvantages or things that you need to know that might not work well for you if you're interested in buying Treasury bills. The first disadvantage that I see is you don't actually know what you will be paying for your Treasury bill. You do know what it will be worth, but you don't actually know what you'll be paying for it. And why is that? That's because Treasury bills are sold at auction. There is an article that goes into great detail written by the New York Fed describing the auction process. I'm not going to bore you with that. Rather than bore you with that article, we'll just use an example from Investopedia of how this works. In their example, they say, suppose the Treasury is seeking to raise $9 million in one-year Treasury bills with a 5% discount rate. That process actually goes to competitive bid. While the Treasury may like to sell it at a 5% discount rate, there may be people who aren't willing to purchase it at that 5%. So it goes to a competitive process. Now, these are by big financial institutions. In fact, there are 24 of them that are required to bid on this. We, as individual investors, aren't required to bid on it, but we get to get the winning price, which is kind of a nice thing. So if they are seeking to raise $9 million, they were looking to get it at 5%, and there was $1.5 million worth of money willing to buy it at 5%. However, there were some people or some institutions who were willing to buy it at an even less discount or better discount to the government. So we see $1 million at 4.79%, and there were some people who were willing to buy it at a bigger discount rate, meaning more expensive to the government, with the top bid being $5 million at 5.5%. Now, if they're looking to raise $9 million, what the government will do is start with the lowest bids and work upwards until they get to the dollar amount that they're seeking to get. So we have 1 million here, we take another 2.5 million, so 3.5, we had 2, we're at 5.5, and then we had 1.5 million, so we're at 7 million. They still need 2 million more, so they'll go to this bid here, 5.07%, and they'll only take 2 million of the 3 million. Once they've reached that 9 million, that is the cutoff. Now, if you're getting confused by that term discount rate, think of it like this. We know what the future value of the Treasury bill will be, but we don't know exactly what we're going to be paying for it until the auction has concluded. The difference between what you will pay and what you will receive at the end when it matures is going to be that discount rate. All right, disadvantage number 2 that I see for Treasury bills, the interest rate is only paid at the maturity date. If you buy a 4-week Treasury bill, at the end of 4 weeks, you will receive the price you paid plus the interest on that price, which will always equal the par value of the Treasury bill. So if you buy a $100 Treasury bill, you're going to pay that price minus the discount rate. You will get that interest, which is the discount rate, essentially, and that will be what you receive as a payment. But you have to wait 4 weeks to obtain it. So you need to know ahead of time just how much money you're willing to lock up for a certain period of time. In general, the longer that you're willing to lock up your money, the better the interest rate that you will receive. If we look here at the latest 4-week auction result, we'll see that it's 2.92% is the interest rate. But if you're willing to tie it up for 8 weeks, you'll get 3.23%. Again, these are annualized rates. However, if one was willing to lock up their money for 52 weeks, then they'll receive almost 4%. But remember that interest is only paid at the maturity date. Now, there are ways to sell your bond ahead of time, but we won't go into that. All right, the third disadvantage that I see for Treasury bills is that they are on a set schedule. Some are weekly and some are sold monthly. And you need to be able to keep track of that schedule if you want to get in on the purchase. Now, it is possible for us to follow a schedule, but just remember that these aren't as simple as being able to purchase a stock, which you can do Monday through Friday, except when there is a federal holiday. Now, the government is kind enough to publish a schedule, and they even color code it so that you can see what type of security you are interested in and what day it is being sold at auction. We are interested in Treasury bills here. The government provides an announcement date, an auction date, and the settlement date. You will see that the announcement date is going to be for the 4-week and 8-week Treasury bills on Tuesdays, and the auction date then will be the following Thursday, so 2 days later. You will see that for the 13-week and 26-week Treasury bills, the announcement date is on Thursday, and the auction date is the following Monday. Lastly, the 52-week Treasury bill is announced on a Thursday and is sold on the following Tuesday, and these Treasury bills only sell every 4 weeks. While this is not a huge disadvantage, it is something to keep in mind. Again, it's not as easy as purchasing a stock or an ETF. The last disadvantage that I want to talk about for Treasury bills is there are some limits on their liquidity. Now, different than an I-bond, which cannot be sold to somebody else, a Treasury bill can be sold to somebody else. But it depends on what type of account you hold your Treasury bill in, and it depends on the length of maturity. Now, this is spelled out very well for people who hold their Treasury bills in their treasurydirect.gov account. I mentioned that there are some limits on liquidity. The first thing is that if it's in a treasurydirect.gov account, you have to hold the security for 45 days before you can sell it or transfer it. What does that mean if you hold a 4-week Treasury bill? It means that you can't sell or transfer that 4-week Treasury bill from Treasury Direct because it will mature in less than 45 days. Now, this limitation applies to treasurydirect.gov accounts. If you hold your Treasury bill with a bank, a broker, or a dealer, then you need to contact that bank, broker, or dealer to find out how to go about selling. Just know, however, that if you are selling your Treasury bill with a bank, broker, or dealer, there may be some fees involved and you may be dealing with some bid-ask spread. What am I talking about? You may want to sell your bill for its full price, but the person who's willing to buy it to give you cash now might not be willing to pay that full price. Why would they? So therefore, there's a chance that you could end up receiving less for your Treasury bill than you actually paid for it. So those are the disadvantages that I see for Treasury bills. Number one, you don't actually know how much money you're going to be paying until the auction is complete. Number two, you don't get that interest until the bill reaches its maturity date. Number three, you need to keep track of the schedule. That's doable, but again, not as easy as buying a stock. And number four, just understand that there can be some limits on liquidity if it's in a treasurydirect.gov account, and that you may not receive the full price or what you want for your Treasury bill if you try to sell it with a bank, broker, or dealer. I hope this information was helpful for you. There's also a video on the advantages of Treasury bills. I hope that you will watch that as well. Share this information with a young person in your life. Treasury bills can be a great way for a young person who is trying to save money for a short project. The interest rate generally that you're going to get on a Treasury bill is better even than a high-yield savings account. My high-yield savings account is giving me 2.15%, and as you saw for the auction today, I'll be getting an annualized rate of 3.23%. Until next time, enjoy your investing.